Hi everyone! And today we have the winner from the Patreon poll for which cover I'm going to do next. It is a piece of music which I have actually listened to quite some time ago. It was one of my early first listens and a very famous piece, Led Zeppelin's Stairway to Heaven. And today I'm going to listen to a cover version of it, but before I do that, I'm going to listen to a Led Zeppelin live version. So that's first. And this is a live from the Madison Square Garden 1973 concert. This was their 9th concert tour of North America. The tour was divided into 2 legs, with performances commencing on the 4th of May and concluding on the 29th of July, 1973. The tour broke box office records across North America. On May 5 at Tampa Stadium, Florida, they played to 56,800 fans. Interesting, that's such an even number, 800 fans. Are you sure it wasn't 823 fans or something? Breaking the record set by the Beatles at Shea Stadium in 1965, and grossed $309,000. Well, if you convert that to 2022 US dollars, then it's $2,036,991. In total, this tour grossed over $4 million. Again, if it were 2022, that would be $26,368,816. That's a lot. In an interview with William Burroughs in 1975, Page commented on the exhausting nature of the 1973 tour, saying, "We were playing sets for 3 hours solid, and physically, that was a real... when I came back from the last tour, I didn't know where I was. I didn't even know where I was going. We ended up in New York, and the only thing that I could relate to was the instrument on stage. It was like swinging on liana from one city to the other. I was just totally and completely spaced out." Well, I can believe it. A concert tour like that is incredibly taxing and intense. I know that, having never gone on a tour like that. I know that because of the performances I've given in my life, which haven't been nowhere near that intense. Although I have to say, I have played some events which lasted a lot longer than I expected them to. I'm sure some gigging musicians out there can relate to the situation where you get hired to play for a reception, a wedding, something. You're told that you're going to play for 45 minutes and you end up playing for 5 hours. Make sure you have a good contract in place. Otherwise, you're sunk. Anyway, let's see about this Led Zeppelin live version of Stairway to Heaven.
I think this is a song of hope.
Oh, this is one of those double guitars, isn't it? You know they make double-strung harps too? Even triple-strung? Very subtle on the keyboard.
There's a lady who's sure all that glitters is gold, and she's buying stairway to heaven. And when she gets there,
When he sings heaven and looks up, it's almost as if he's rolling his eyes. A little bit of sarcasm in there.
she can get what she came for. Ooh, ooh, and she's by flying the stairway to heaven. There's a sign on the wall, but she wants to be sure, 'cause you know sometimes words have two meanings. In a tree by the brook, there's a songbird who sings. Sometimes all of our thoughts are misgiven, and I think you can see that.
I feel like his stage presentation when he's singing this piece certainly puts one towards a specific interpretation or understanding of the lyrics. His body language and gestures, they're contributing to what we gather from the piece.
And my spirit is crying for leaving. In my thoughts I have seen rings of smoke through the trees, and the voices of those who stand looking.
I don't remember this from the studio version, so this is a bit different here.
And it's whispered that soon, if we all call it true, then the Bible will lead us to reason. And a new day will dawn for those who stand long, and the forests will echo with laughter. Does anybody remember laughter?
He is giving it a certain quality that's more specific than in a studio recording, isn't he? It's more cynical. Here come all the instruments and drums. And of course the tempo starts to pick up, doesn't it?
Yes, there are two paths you can go by, but in the long run, there's still time to change the road you're on. I hope so.
They're really picking up the tempo quickly. I remember it being a more gradual increase in tempo, so that's a bit different.
Wait a minute. Your head is humming, and it won't go, guess you don't know. The piper is calling you to join him. Dear lady, can you hear the wind blow? And you know your stairway lies on the whispering.
Okay, I don't understand what he's doing now. He was handed something, a ring or something. But I can't see. Is it an instrument or is it a crown? We'll see in a minute, I hope. interesting videography work here. Or should I say editing work. To imagine how heavy this guitar must be. I guess I've commented before about how heavy this little guitar behind me is. I'm used to the lightness of acoustic guitars with their open body, but these solid body guitars, they are heavy. And this one is massive. Okay, I see, yeah. It's not a crown. He's all business when he plays guitar. He's just sitting there busy. I guess this is a more improvised, longer solo as well, because I don't remember such a long break in the studio recording. Building some frenzy. He's like, I'm hot, I'm tired, this thing is heavy. Now I finally get to see a glimpse of the drummer. I guess this is a bit different too. The Chopin-esque little coda.
To heaven.
Well, that is a cover in its own right, I would say, because if I were comparing, well, I kind of was comparing to the studio recording, which was my first exposure to this piece of music, and this live performance, it was great. It was strong and compelling, but it certainly sent me more towards the sarcasm, irony, irreverence, even a sort of bitterness, a feeling of disillusionment that is being conveyed in this, like, she's buying a stairway to heaven. She's buying a stairway to heaven. You know, that feeling of, and part of it has to do with his body language and the way he presents it on the stage. Part of it has to do with subtle things in the musical parts of it that send us that way. But certainly with the visual element of watching him present it, I get a lot more of that quality to the piece than in the studio version. In the studio version, first of all, I'm not watching anyone, so I'm free to take the however it sounds according to my own instinctive response. And you've seen how sometimes that takes me in strange places, right? But it's a really nice experiment to do. And it's one that, if you haven't done it for a long time, I urge you, find a piece you've never heard and listen to it music only first. Because it allows you to relate purely with the music and explore wherever the music takes you. And it could be a place that nobody else goes with that music. Could be, or it might be the beaten path. You won't know until you try it out. But it's so fascinating to compare lives with studio versions and including the visual with purely the sound, the sonic experience. And, well, now I get to go to the official cover that is the winner of the poll. So let's go there. Hi, everyone. Continuing the celebration of the winning poll on Patreon this weekend, which was which cover, the winner was choosing which cover I should listen to next. The winner was Stairway to Heaven. And so I began with Led Zeppelin's live performance. And now we are going to a different band for the officially different cover version. I'm saying officially according to me, because the actual winner of the poll was Heart's version of Stairway to Heaven. And well, I have listened to a piece by Heart before. That was Mistral Wind. And if you want to see that first listen, you're welcome to check it out here. The link is right up here. So, on December 2, 2012, Led Zeppelin received the Kennedy Center Honors from President Barack Obama. It's an award bestowed upon those considered to have contributed greatly to American culture. Every December, the awards climax with a gala event at the Kennedy Center Opera House in Washington, D.C. And in 2012, the show included an emotional performance of Stairway to Heaven by Heart's Ann and Nancy Wilson, featuring Jason Bonham on drums. Jason Bonham. I feel like I should know if there's a connection between Jason Bonham and John Bonham.
His son.
Somehow I vaguely had the idea in my mind that was the case, but it truly struck a chord with the members of Led Zeppelin. Singer Robert Plant was even moved to tears by the passionate performance. He said, "I knew we did a lot of damage to people's brains and eardrums. And I knew we wrote some great songs, but it was a very humbling experience. When I saw Heart perform Stairway to Heaven, I just couldn't believe that song had anything to do with this 64-year-old man that was sitting next to John Paul Jones. I thought to myself, this is me? How did that happen?" Well, let's find out what he found so moving about it.
Ladies and gentlemen, the son of John Bonham,
It
Jason
even says
Bonham.
that, the son of John Bonham.
Ladies and gentlemen, from Heart, Ann and Nancy Wilson.
even in a live performance. Have these Celtic symbols flashing
There's a
above.
lady who's sure all that glitters is gold, and she's buying a stairway to heaven. When she gets there, she knows if the stores are all closed, with a word she can get what she came for. She's buying a stairway to heaven. There's a sign on the wall, but she wants to be sure, 'cause you know sometimes words have too many meanings in the
I wouldn't have guessed that somebody else with a different voice could give such a deeply felt, emotionally concentrated performance of this piece. Well, I shouldn't say I wouldn't have guessed, because if I sit back and just think about it cold, technical, of course somebody should be able to, right? If one person can, somebody else can. But Robert Plant's rendition is so, somehow it's embedded in my mind as the definitive sound and voice for the piece. And his the way he uses his voice, where he lets it break and crack, where he gets strong, and how he shapes the phrases. He does it so perfectly for the piece. It keeps it from sounding sappy and limp. And I'm pleasantly surprised to hear in this first bit of this performance that these two, I don't recognize them by their faces. So I know that one is Anne and one is Nancy, but who is who? I don't know who's singing. Shall I say Lady Wilson? Lady Wilson is doing a fabulous job with her voice. It's rich. It has an edge to it without being hard. It has a power to it, a concentrated quality to it, without being harsh. And the pacing, I also am enjoying the pacing that they're taking. It's a little bit slower than the live version I just listened to. I actually like it. I like it, this slower pace. And as I try to recall what the original was, I somehow feel like the original had this slower pace at the beginning.
by the brook. There's a songbird who sings. Sometimes all of our thoughts are misgiven. Makes me wonder. There's a feeling I get when I look to the west, and my spirit is crying for you. In my thoughts,
This performance is more reverent, as I perceive to be.
and the voice.
Oh, they've got a live string orchestra there. That's nice. Several guitars. I started to say, this performance feels a lot more reverent. As in the same way that I perceived the studio version, compared to the live version, which I just watched and you heard me comment and say, it's sarcastic and flippant, and maybe flippant isn't the right word, cynical. There's that sort of mockery to it. But here, it's not mockery. There's a reverence, a meditative quality, it's interesting that the hopefulness of it comes out as being more sincere here, which is funny because in the introduction to the Led Zeppelin's live version, he said he was going to sing a song that he believed was hopeful, right? But now here, to me, this one seems more focusing on the hopeful quality. There's a buoyancy to it that they're enjoying it, aren't they? Nice. A bit of brass in there. And we're moving faster now. This is nice. This is really nice. I think it's a celebratory quality. I love that. I really love that. Even I know it's just a bit of camera and editing work, but seeing it flash to this whole chorus of women singing, just as it says, and if you listen, and they're beaming, and the music is buoyant and celebratory, it's such a happiness emanating from this. And I guess whoever edited this and put it together did a really great job of capturing that. It's not just in the editing, but I like the way that the video kind of captures and shall I say harmonizes with the music. Look at her in the audience, right? And it's true. It's almost this sort of praise chorus feel, isn't it? Maybe I shouldn't say praise chorus. Maybe I should say gospel style praise chorus. You know, where everybody has their hands raised and they're swaying to the music and I like the way, because this piece of music in the original version, it's not I mean, yes, we all know that rock music has deep links to gospel and soul and blues and even some jazz as well. We know that. But I would say that the original Stairway to Heaven didn't really feel like it was oozing out of it, you know? If you remember, and if you haven't watched my first listen, you can check it out here, but if you remember, I was noticing more elements of Celtic influence. And a lot of you were pleased or surprised that I picked up on that because I didn't even know at the time where Robert Plant was from. So now this is kind of taking it almost a step back. Maybe back isn't the right word. It's a sidestep to another strand of influence in the music. We have, of course, the British Isles influence, and we have the ubiquitous gospel blues influence. I still wouldn't call this blues at all, but it certainly is pulling in some of the gospel elements, isn't it? And they mesh so well together. Well, the arrangement, whoever has put together the arrangement, which I guess is Hart, because this is their cover of it, they've done a fabulous job balancing all the elements and bringing them in and making it feel like every part of it belongs. It's so well done that if I didn't know better, I could easily say that perhaps this was the original version, because it just feels so natural and like every part belongs. But yeah, I like this, bringing in a bit of the gospel buoyancy here.
And she's buying a stairway to heaven.
A little special touch at the end as well. That's nice. I'm just going to watch it to the end. Very, very nice. There's another thing that appeals to me, intrigues me about this performance. And that is, well, as I have become more familiar with rock music along the way, I have learned to adjust my mind and my way of relating to the music in some ways, especially when it comes to live performance. As many of you know, I have this challenge comprehending what is attractive about going to a performance in which the audience is so noisy, perhaps you can hardly hear the performers sometimes. And I have learned to understand a bit more about that and appreciate elements of it. But now here I'm seeing a piece of rock music presented in a more, shall I say, classical format, where the audience is sitting quietly. In fact, they're even quite dressed up, aren't they? This is far from your live rock band classic performance routine. This is well, of course, it's the Kennedy Center Honors. What else could we ask for? But I guess where was it that I watched Queen's live performance?
Wembley.
Wembley. Oh, that was in Wembley Stadium, right? Never mind. I somehow had the idea that I had. It was the Beatles. That little clip you showed me of the Beatles
In front of the Queen.
in front of the Queen,
Yeah.
which, okay, even that one, you could see he tried to lighten up the mood a bit, right? But here, nobody's trying to, kind of loosen everybody up. Everybody is quite comfortable and, shall we say, respectable and respectful in their. Maybe I should take that back because I don't want it to sound like I view rock fans as being disrespectful of their bands. Anyway, I think you understand what I mean. In the whole context, everyone's sitting, quiet, listening. Listening to a piece of music they know well. Even the composer is there in the audience. And somebody other than the composer is performing it. Many others. There's the choir. There's the orchestra. There are the multiple guitars. There is the solo singer. All these, and of course the drummer, I can't leave him out. All these different masters of their craft are presenting a performance of a piece of music which is embedded in the musical tradition. That is really quite classical in its everything about it. First of all, it's very, very carefully rehearsed. There isn't any sort of casualness about it. And I guess this might help you understand, those of you who don't love classical performances, if you enjoy this piece and you enjoyed this performance, maybe it will help you understand what we classical music lovers get out of a classical music performance. We know this music. We love this music. We live this music, and we go to listen to a fabulous performance of it. And that's what I see happening here on the screen. And how special that the composer could actually be present. That is something that we miss very often, most of the time, in the classical music tradition, simply because it is so deep. It goes so far back, and most of the composers are now dead. So we can't have the honor of having Beethoven moved to tears by a fabulous performance of one of his piano concerti. We can't have the incredible feeling of seeing Mozart thrilled with the modern piano, or Bach in awe at the many different ways his music has filtered down through the ages and been adopted and woven through life as we know it. We can't enjoy that. And so here is a piece of music that is very much like classical music, I will say, in its place in the musical, cultural flow of history. And even now in this performance, in its presentation. And the composer was there to watch it. And I noticed how moved he was and the tears in his eyes. I mean, what an incredible moment to come face to face, especially having just watched his performance from his younger days, where he was, he was doing it giving a completely different interpretation. And perhaps he didn't always give it that interpretation when he was performing live, but it came off, a young person kind of making fun of some lady who thinks she can buy her way to heaven. And now he sees this and he realizes, how did this come out of me? What what a gift, what a treasure, what a beautiful thing. And I didn't even realize it when it happened. And to face that in your later years, the realization that somehow, by some indefinable process, you were able to gift society, the world, and future history, can I call it that? A work of art. And this is clearly a work of art that is lasting. So I guess, well, those are my impressions, and I enjoyed this immensely. Thank you to my patrons who voted this to the top. It was a resounding win. Everything else was just minuscule compared to this one, and I now understand why you wanted me to watch it so much. And I did enjoy it, and thank you. I'll see you all soon.